Okay, our house party system is installed, and now we are ready to tune the amp, and we're basically going to mate the amp or match the amp to the head unit. In this case, we're using the stock Harley-Davidson Harman Kardon head unit. So the first thing that you want to do when you get ready to set up the amplifier is you want to, with your volume control knob, you want to scroll through the bass, treble, display, volume, and you're going to get to a button that says AVC. And if you see, this one has 4 bars, which means it's all the way up. AVC is your automatic volume control. It's not your amplifier's friend. So what you want to do is take the AVC, scroll down your volume button all the way till it says off. That's how you want to start tuning your amp. You don't want to use an automatic volume control when you're running an amplified stereo system. The two of them do not work well together. Eric is going to walk us through the setting up of the gain controls and basically the mating of this to the amp. Have it?
Right on. So what we're going to do is we're going to match the source unit to the amplifier. Because remember, we are adding an amplified system to the factory radio. So what we want to do is make sure that the signal coming out of the source unit into the amplifier is optimized for best sound quality. That's going to help you get the best quality sound out of the system without damaging any speakers. So what we're going to do is we already know the clipping point of the source unit, so we're going to measure and show you that just so you know what clipping is. So do a lot of your customers have issues with clipping?
Yeah, well, I think what we've discovered is that the Harman Kardon unit starts clipping at a certain volume level. It's really, once it's amplified and once this premium sound equipment has been hooked to it, at about 2/3 volume, it seems like just the Harman head unit starts to clip. So you don't need all that volume. You've souped this up so much that you don't, you're used to cranking it all the way to full volume because of the small factory speakers that you had and the low power that the system put out. But now you really don't need that much power. You can get 5 times as much quality of sound and volume from being at half volume level. So it's kind of training yourself not to be so heavy thumbed on your volume switch is another reason why we have you put the automatic volume control off. So
really, a rider, when they are riding around, they want to make sure that they do not pass that 2/3 threshold on their display, right? So that way we continue to get a clean signal from the source unit to the amplifier.
Right. A good rule of thumb, I think, is clean signal, clean sound. If your stereo gets dirty, if it sounds horrible and distorted, you're hurting something. It's almost like redlining a motor. When you soup up your motor and now you have all this horsepower, which we've certainly done now with this audio system, now we have all this added horsepower. You can't redline your motor all the time. Sooner or later you're going to break something. You have tons of power. You don't need to redline it. You've got way more power than you had before you did the work to the engine, to the audio system. So you have to work within the parameters of the system and enjoy what you've created.
That's a really good metaphor, redlining. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we understand that we get to a certain point on the radio that is considered redlining. So we want to be able to play the radio from in that range. So that way you get good dynamic range, good sound quality, and good power out of the system. Going up above that redline threshold, you're just going to wind up distorting the signal, going into the amplifier, sending a lot of distortion to the speakers. That could be really detrimental to the speakers. And we want to make sure that your system lasts a really long time. So we're going to show you how to do that now.
Yeah, you've got to work within the limitations of the stock head unit. You can actually you could probably even get a little more volume freedom, I would say, from an aftermarket source unit. Not that there's anything wrong with this unit. It makes great sound and works fine with these components, but the head unit has limitations, and you have to set up your stereo to work within its guidelines.
Good. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at that then.
Awesome. I'll follow you.
Okay, Paul, so what I'm going to show you is that term clipping that we talked about earlier. What we're doing is we're finding the maximum clean signal output from the radio and feeding it into the amplifier. So what I did is I hooked up a little scope meter here, and this sine wave is actually reading the output signal from the radio. In the radio, I put in a 1 kilohertz test tone at 0 dB. Now, of course, I disconnected the speaker output so that we're not hearing a very loud 1 kilohertz tone through our speakers. This is just for a demonstration. So what I've done is I've adjusted the volume of the radio so that the bars are about 12 to 13 bars. It's just under the E under volume on the source unit. So if I increase and turn this up even higher, what's happening is the signal is distorting. Now, we don't want that going into the amplifier. So we want to make sure that our volume is kept at about 2/3, and that way we'll get a clean signal from the radio down into the amplifier.
Very interesting. So when you get over there, the signal gets so dirty that it really starts, obviously, distorting, but it also it's hard for the amp to take that kind of distortion for any length of time. Would that be a good way to...
Yeah, and what happens is because we're using an amplified system, you're actually amplifying that even more and sending that dirty signal onto the speakers. So we want to make sure that the volume on the source unit is about 12 to 13 bars at its maximum. That will allow the clean signal from the radio to get to the amplifier. That way we're amplifying good, clean signal to the speakers.
And someone here at Rockford explained it to me that when you're in a situation where you're clipping the amp, that it actually it could be compared to getting punched in the face, and that you're constantly punching the amp in a bad way because you're giving it such a dirty signal, and that basically there's only so much punching the amp can take where before it'll basically pass out, like you were getting repeatedly hit in the face. So you actually can hurt the amp by putting it in a clipping situation.
Right, so we want to make sure that we don't have that clip signal. We don't want to get punched in the face anymore. We don't want to run it at red line. We want to back it off just a little bit to about that 12 to 13 bar range. Again, look at it for the E on volume on your display, and that should get you a good clean signal out of these Harley-Davidson radios.
So a good rule of thumb is, since most people won't have a scope and be setting up their system like this, is a good rule of thumb is volume no higher than under the E, and that if you're rocking down the freeway and your sounds horrible, if it's distorted and dirty and sounding horrible, it's not good. So reduce the volume a little bit and lighten it up.
So Paul, looks like we have a pretty good understanding of how to install a premium Rockford Fosgate system in a motorcycle.
Yeah, I agree. It's really not as difficult as some people would think. There's just some parameters you have to work within depending on the equipment you've chosen.
And your kits come with everything that the do-it-yourself installer needs, right? It comes with harnesses, hardware.
That's correct. Everything. It's the whole point of the systems is that they are direct install on your particular model of Harley-Davidson.
Great. So these are very specific for motorcycle installs. So you're going to get a great sound quality. You're going to get great sound quality out of your audio system. A lot of SPL, a lot of power. You're going to really enjoy your music while you're on the road.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. These systems are, from what we've experienced, the finest audio systems available on the market today.
Great. Well, that sounds like a good thing. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. For Rockford Fosgate, I'm Merrick Russell.
From Paul Yaffe's Bagger Nation, I'm Paul Yaffe, and thanks to Lee, our master installer, for helping us out with this.
Let's turn this on. Let's see what this sounds like.
Yeah, when you're choosing a Rockford's Fosgate Bagger Nation house party system, this is what you can expect.